Have you ever actually stopped to think about what human heart anatomy looks like deep inside your chest? I mean, right now it's a constantly beating, incredibly complex two-pump system, but most of us have no idea how it's structurally engineered. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the internal chambers and valves. We're keeping it completely simple, accurate, and really easy to understand, so you can finally see exactly how blood flows through the heart.
To really grasp how this amazing organ works, we kind of have to track the exact path of blood flow through its internal architecture. You see, it's not just a single hollow balloon in there. It is a highly organized, super dynamic space. We're going to follow the logical, spatial flow of blood exactly as it travels through the chambers. By the end of this, you're going to see exactly how the heart functions as a continuous, non-stop, two-pump system.
So functionally speaking, the heart is actually made up of two distinct pumps working side by side. The right pump receives deoxygenated blood. That's blood that has already been used up by the body, and it pumps it straight over to the lungs via the pulmonary circulation. On the flip side, the left pump receives fresh, highly oxygenated blood right back from the lungs and sends it blasting throughout your entire body via the systemic circulation. So really, it's two separate pumps housed inside one single organ.
Internally, the heart is divided into four main chambers. You have two upper chambers known as atria, the right and left atrium. Think of these as the receiving rooms. They have relatively thin walls because their main job is really just to collect blood as it arrives. Below them, you've got the two lower chambers called ventricles, the right and left ventricle. These are the heavy-duty pumping stations. They are built with thick, strong, muscular walls designed to forcefully push blood out of the heart.
Now, you obviously can't just have all these chambers wide open to one another, right? Otherwise, the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood would just mix together, defeating the whole purpose. That's exactly where the septa come in. Septa, or a septum, if we're just talking about one, are the sturdy muscular walls separating these chambers. You have the interatrial septum, dividing the two upper atria, the interventricular septum, dividing the two lower ventricles, and the atrioventricular septum, separating the upper receiving rooms from the lower pumping stations.
All right, our very first stop on this journey is the right atrium. Situated right in the superior right corner of the heart, this cuboid-shaped chamber is where the systemic circulation officially ends. Deoxygenated blood returning from your body enters here through massive vessels called the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. It even receives venous blood from the heart muscle itself through a tiny little opening called the coronary sinus. Okay, here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. A really cool piece of clinical relevance. If you look at the medial wall of the right atrium, that interatrial septum we just talked about, there's this oval fibrous depression called the fossa ovalis. You might be wondering, why on earth is that there? Well, it's actually a remnant from when you were developing in the womb. It covers the foramen ovalis, which was a literal hole that allowed blood to completely bypass your uninflated lungs during fetal development. But the second you were born and took your very first breath, it fully sealed up, leaving this little oval footprint behind. How crazy is that? From the right atrium, the journey continues. The blood drops down through the right atrioventricular orifice and straight into the right ventricle. Now, this chamber has a very distinct pyramidal shape, and unlike the smooth walls of the receiving rooms upstairs, the inside of this ventricle is lined with irregular muscular columns called trabecula carnii. This specific chamber's entire job is to pump that deoxygenated blood up into the lungs.
But wait a second. When that incredibly powerful ventricle squeezes, what stops the blood from just shooting right back up into the atrium? The answer lies in the heart's built-in one-way security doors, the valves. And these valves are tethered by these incredible structures called chordae tendineae. These are tough, inelastic tendons that attach the leaflets of the valve down to specific muscles, called papillary muscles, located right on the floor of the ventricle. Let's actually walk through the exact steps of how this mechanical marvel works. Right before the ventricle fully contracts, those little papillary muscles contract first. This action pulls the chordae tendineae incredibly tight, almost like parachute cords catching air. So when the massive pressure of the ventricle squeezing pushes the blood up against the tricuspid valve, those tight cords completely prevent the valve leaflets from blowing backward or prolapsing into the atrium. It flawlessly prevents the backward flow or regurgitation of blood.
With that backward path totally sealed off, the blood literally has only one way to go. It gets forced upwards. The upper part of the right ventricle, which is called the infundibulum, actually becomes completely smooth to streamline this rapid flow. The blood blasts right through the pulmonary valve, which is a semilunar valve featuring three little cusps, and goes directly into the pulmonary trunk, heading straight for the lungs to pick up some fresh oxygen.
And here is where the whole journey transforms. The blood has traveled out to the lungs, dropped off all that waste carbon dioxide, and loaded up on bright, fresh oxygen. It then returns to the heart, entering the superior left corner straight into the left atrium. It comes in through 4 distinct openings on the superior and posterior walls, the 4 pulmonary veins. Now, this chamber is actually a bit smaller in volume than the right atrium, but its muscular walls are noticeably thicker.
Now, to help manage the incoming volume of this vital, oxygen-rich blood, the anterior surface of the left atrium features a neat little structure called the left auricle. It's essentially a muscular flap, or appendage, with an irregular shape and tiny ridges created by pectinate muscles. Its main function is brilliantly simple, really. It acts like an expansion chamber to increase the total volume the left atrium can hold. It's basically the heart's built-in overflow tank. From the left atrium, that fully oxygenated blood drops down into the absolute main event, the left ventricle. Notice its distinct cone shape, with its apex pointing right downwards. Guys, this is without a doubt the most powerful pumping station in the entire heart. Its job is absolutely massive. It has to generate enough physical force to blast this oxygenated blood out through the aorta to fuel your entire body, literally from your brain all the way down to your toes. Guarding the entrance and the exit of this powerful left ventricle are 2 absolutely crucial valves. On the way in, you have the mitral valve. This is also known as the bicuspid valve, simply because it only has 2 cusps, an anterior and a posterior one. Once the ventricle violently squeezes, it forces the blood up through a smooth anterior-superior portion called the aortic vestibule, and right out through the aortic valve. The aortic valve is a semilunar valve with 3 cusps, safely secured by a tough fibrous ring, guarding the grand entrance to the mighty aorta.
Let's distill all of this insanely complex internal anatomy into a few really vital takeaways. The heart is perfectly divided into 4 distinct chambers by those sturdy muscular septa. It operates as a highly dynamic 2-pump system, the right side sending blood to the lungs and the left side sending oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. And that entire directional flow is strictly maintained by one-way valves, brilliantly secured by parachute-like chordae tendineae to prevent any backflow whatsoever. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to subscribe to this explainer for more simple medical explanations just like this one. It really is a tireless, beautifully engineered machine, isn't it? So, I want to leave you with this final thought. Considering everything we just covered today, from the fetal remnants like the fossa ovalis to those incredibly tough parachute-like valves, what surprised you the most about how the inside of the heart actually works? Let me know your answer down in the pinned comment below. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.